Go Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yao Mean of Revolution. This is a sad cautionary tale. We got to get into this story. Media lynching in Texas. Before we get into that, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Well, free the little brother Carmelo Anthony. And RIP to the young teen that lost his life on the track field. Racism in America balls over. Let's get into it.
Races are big mad. Oh my goodness. So you guys need to understand how many people were begging me to do a video on this story. They were just harassing me, bro, just haranguing me. Just, Lucas, you can do a video on this story? It's because the victim's white. You're not gonna do a video on the story, huh? It's because you hate white people. Is that why bro? They were just screaming and hollering because they thought they had the smoking gun when it came to this story. Let me just say this. There are a group of white people who want to be a victim. That's correct. They want to be seen as a victim, even though throughout the entire history of this country, that has never been the case, all right? And they will go out of their way to be this victim. And they will offload all their problems on groups of people, whether it's the Jews or their favorite, the blacks, okay? The reason why they didn't get the job, oh, it was a black person, it's DEI, okay? That's why I didn't get the job. The reason why they didn't get, the other job is, oh, the owner is a Jew, that's why they didn't want to give me the job because the Jews hate white people. And they will do everything and anything to cope for their inadequacies and why they aren't where they want to be in life. Damn, it just is what it is, okay? And these white people, unfortunately, are very vocal, okay? Very vocal. And those that disagree with them, the white people that disagree with them, well, they're the traitors, okay? They don't understand. The blinds haven't been open, right? They're not red pill enough, yada, yada, yada. All this foolishness. But one thing I do find humorous is that these group of white people, the only time that they care about white lives is when they think that they can blame it on a black person. That's the only time they care about white lives. The only time white lives matters to them is that they can say, see, it's the black guy. See, we can't live with them. See, they're violent. That's the only time. And I think that's really sick. I think that's really deluded, that you need a black criminal in your eyes to give white life value. That's unfortunate.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Nevertheless, this leads us to this story. And with most stories, there is a forced narrative. And the forced narrative of this story that I came across was there was this innocent white kid, okay? He was a student athlete. And you know what? There was this violent black kid. And this white kid just simply told the black kid, hey, can you move, please? We just want you to move, please. That's all we want. And the black kid took out his knife and whoop, right into the white kid, and now the white kid is gone, all right? And he had a brother, okay? He had a brother, and his brother loved him so much, and the family is devastated. That was the narrative that they pushed forward. And this is typical for what they do. This is, their MO. They love pushing forward a false narrative before the real narrative comes out. They did this, y'all remember Ahmaud Arbery? Oh, he had a hammer. Oh, he was looting and robbing. Oh my gosh, it was self-defense for the white guy. Oh my God, this guy was a criminal. He attacked them. And they will run with that story. That'll be the first thing they do. They push it out. They push the narrative out because they want to get ahead of the truth. Because as we know, once it goes to court, that's when we get discovery. That's when we get the facts and the evidence. And that's when their narratives fall apart. And during that time, just as with this story, they will either A, switch it up, okay, they'll move the goalposts, or B, they'll lose interest because now it doesn't fit their narrative, right? It doesn't fit their more black narrative, right? So that's what we're seeing right now. That's what we're seeing right now is that people, upon, more evidence coming out of what transpired that day, people are starting to lose interest because now it's showing that, oh, this kid wasn't just some angry black kid. Oh, the white kid wasn't just some innocent white kid who just happened to fall on a knife. That's not what happened. So as more information comes out, what seems to be the story that we've gathered thus far is that these kids were a bunch of bullies. You have, witnesses who are saying that they were the ones that initiated this whole interaction. They initiated and they were the aggressors. And the black kid is claiming self-defense, is what he originally claimed. That is seeming to be more likely true. Okay. Now we'll find out once we go to court and everything's laid out on the table. But you had a family member saying, hey, there's video of this. Okay. There's video of this, and don't fall for the race baiting. Now, when we talk about race baiting, I always find it funny that you can't race bait in the other direction. Has anyone ever noticed that, right? When it comes to, a white person and you say, oh, it's the blacks, man. This black kid is horrible. They got a culture problem. This is why we got to deal with the blacks and everything. They don't consider that race baiting. They'll never consider that race baiting. But when you say, hey, why did this white kids, hurt this black kid, or why did this, white husband completely destroy his, his black wife or something like that? Then that's when the accusations of race baiting come. Oh, why are you race baiting? Why are you race baiting, huh? Why are you such a race baiter, huh? What are you a little race hustler? I always find that humorous to me because I'm like, oh, so you can only race bait in one direction, and the direction is something that criticizes this particular group of white people for doing acts of crime, acts of violence, because that falls in direct contrast to the narrative that they want to put out there. As with everything else, right? They want to, when it comes to, 1350, they want to look at one aspect, but completely ignore as far as those who were let free off of false arrests, off of false convictions. They want to ignore all that. Then they want to ignore all the other crimes, like that's the only crime is homicide or whatnot. So you have to understand they want to frame this world in favor of them. It will always be in favor of them, but at the same time, simultaneously, they're always the victim. It's a weird conundrum. I'm not going to lie. It's a weird conundrum. Okay. Damn. That's what seems to be this story, is that this kid came out in self-defense, and you had one incident where it says, hey, touch me again or come at me again and see what happens. Now, what happens? The kid, the high IQ, this is what they want to say, according to the racists, the high IQ, pattern recognizer, per capita elitist, what does he do? He goes and touches the kid again. And sure enough, this is the ultimate, from what it seems, the FAFO. F around and found out, and he found out, and now he's no longer with us. And for some reason, I'm supposed to feel bad about this. And just so we're clear, if the races were reversed, I'd say the same thing. But at the same time, I don't know a lot of black kids that if someone else were to reach into their bag and say, hey, you come at me again and you see what happens, I don't know a lot of black kids who would go, okay. Like, that's not just being in this country. That's not how we're trained. And this is a partly due to post-traumatic slave syndrome, a book that I recommend y'all read. But yeah, that's not going to happen. But there has to be a certain level of privilege, like I said, post-traumatic slave master syndrome, that would somehow trigger in your brain to see, well, what is he going to do? What are you going to do to me, huh? I'm the master. And that's where that privilege comes from. And sure enough, he found out that, oh, this privilege doesn't really, protect you from, knives. I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't protect you from.
Revolutionary salute to our brother Vincent Brown Scott for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. Absolutely appreciate the love, family. Salute.
Knives. What I will leave you with this is that what's absolutely hysterical is that the father came out and told people, hey, please don't race bait. This isn't political. This is a human issue. This is a human problem. That's what this is.
Right off the start, because I've already heard some rumors and gossip. This was not a race thing. And this is not a political thing. Please do not comment if you do not know what happened. Do not turn this into a racial thing. It was not. Do not politicize this. It's not. This is a human being thing. This person made a bad choice, and it affected both his family and my family forever.
And in response to this group of, these white group of races were livid. They were upset because they saw this as the father being a race traitor. That's how they view it. They see the father as being a race traitor. Oh, he's just trying to shield the blacks. That's what he's trying to do. That's how demented and twisted these people are. That when you have the father of the slain boy saying, please don't race bait, that now they're upset because they can't race bait. It's just, It's comedy. And then what's even more comedy is, like I said, the actual story being that it's leaning towards actual self-defense. And the white boys that y'all were screaming and crying about were actually in the wrong. Which is, man, how many stories do we have we come across that? And, as I said, they'll either play it down and be like, well, that's not the point. He shouldn't have had a knife. That's a new, goalpost that they're moving to after they find out that the original narrative that they wanted to portray was false. Like the facts and evidence didn't justify that. So now they're trying to, once again, vilify the black boy and trying to say, oh, he shouldn't have had a knife. Why does he have a knife, huh? Why was he there? Why was he under the tent? It was raining. Why do you think someone would want to be out the rain? You have to understand that when it comes to these people, it's very simple. A plus B equals black kid guilty. That's it. It doesn't matter what A and B is. It will always equal black kid guilty. Black man guilty, black woman guilty. That's how their mind has been, designed, created, mutated. Anyways, guys, that's the video. I don't know what else there is to say, bro. They're like, what is the either or? You still want to be like, Lucas, the dirt? Like, okay, go ahead. Have fun. Have fun and cope. For the rest of us, it seems to be very much a self-defense. That's what it seems to be. I'm curious how it plays out in court because a lot of that really depends on the attorney and the jury. That's really what it depends on. The facts and evidence aren't always going to prove someone innocent. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works in this justice system in this country, especially regarding a black youth. Nevertheless, if you happen to disagree, you know where to find me Friday through Sunday, Disagreement Day. Call in and we will duke it out. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
I'm not going to sit back and watch this kid be railroaded without voicing my opinion and voicing my commentary on it because I think it matters. But no, I wish he would have walked away if possible. If possible. And I wish that white kid wouldn't put his hands on him. There are no winners in this story, only losers.
WFAA has obtained new court documents revealing how Austin Metcalf was stabbed to death at a track meet in Frisco. Police say another teenager had fresh blood on his finger when they found him at Kirkendall Stadium.
The affidavit shows that when officers arrived, Carmelo Anthony told them he got into an argument with Metcalf. And when the arresting officer said he had the alleged suspect in custody, Anthony replied, "I'm not alleged. I did it."
But Anthony told officers he only acted in self-defense and asked them if Metcalf was okay.
Several witnesses paint a different picture, and Metcalf's father told Matt Howerton he is not buying the excuse.
I had a dream last night, and Austin came to me and said, "I'm okay." It gives me peace. Doesn't mean I don't hurt.
The last 24 hours, unimaginable for Austin Metcalf's father, his mother, his twin brother.
Right now, I'm really numb, and I really don't feel anything. I just have to function.
Metcalf, just 17 when he arrived at Frisco ISD's district track meet Wednesday. His final breaths taken before 11 a.m., police say, after being stabbed to death by a fellow Frisco ISD student, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, now charged with first-degree murder.
My world's a little shattered.
An argument over where Anthony was sitting while the meet experienced a rain delay sparked a confrontation between the teen and Metcalf. According to arrest paperwork, Anthony sitting underneath Metcalf's team tent. You could see it from the air when we flew over the crime scene. Metcalf from Memorial High, Anthony from Centennial. A witness telling police Metcalf told Anthony to move from under the team's tent because he didn't go to their school. The witness telling police Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." Investigators writing that Metcalf grabbed Anthony to tell him to move and that Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. When officers arrived, the knife was found and police say Anthony admitted to what happened, but said this to police: "He put his hands on me. I was protecting myself," even asking another officer if what happened could be considered self-defense.
What do you expect? If you're caught, the best thing you're gonna do is try to lie your way out of it.
Metcalf's father telling me self-defense is not a reasonable excuse.
The truth will come out. There were too many people that were there that saw what happened. My own son told me.
In Frisco, I'm Matt Howerton.
I got the reports now. They paint a different picture, right? And it puts a little clarity as well, because originally when I saw race baiter, race hustler, anti-black mouthpiece, Glenn Beck's private dancer, Jason Whitlock, originally say he was using comparisons from this story in George Floyd. And I didn't understand why he was doing it, because that didn't make no damn sense. I'm like, what's this got to do with it? The cops had the knee on him. Cops were around George Floyd. He was in police custody with handcuffed. And they kept making sure he made it to the station alive. I mean, it takes 5 cops to get you to the station. That's kind of crazy. But we've seen this before with Freddie Gray in Baltimore. But be that as it may. Let's deal with one thing at a time. I didn't understand why Jason Whitlock was bringing up George Floyd. But now I get it. Now I understand why, because allegedly. I saw a police report or an autopsy report or a toxicology report that showed that Austin Metcalf had drugs in his system. Now I get why Jason was doing this. He was defending the kid with the drugs in his system from getting, FAFO'd. That's what this was. He was doing a whataboutism with George Floyd and comparing it because he's saying that both of these folks, both George Floyd and Austin Metcalf, had drugs in their system. That's what they were doing. Okay. So that cleared it up. I'm glad to understand that, because I didn't understand the connection. So you mean to tell me that Austin Metcalf, the Christian I keep hearing about, who Dad's been on here saying was a star model student, has a drug dependency issue, apparently? Then I also found out that Kamala Anthony, who, according to the witness reports that I was reporting on yesterday, who warned Austin not once, but twice not to touch him, not to put your hands on him. And I guess Austin didn't think that was important. Neither did all the other people that were gathered around under the tent as well. There were other people there. It wasn't like it was just 2 people. There were witnesses. Nobody intervened. Nobody stopped anything. And according to my reports, hands were placed on Anthony. Anthony. Hands were placed on Anthony by Austin. Austin put his hands on him. And even in that report we just saw that's very favorable to the Metcalfs, they admit he did put his hands on him. Why was Anthony touched by Austin? Why did Austin put his hands on Anthony Carmelo? I see no reports that show Anthony Carmelo touching Austin. I saw a reaction to being touched. Once again, we've already stated this should have never happened. This is a tragedy.
In just the last 7 days, 8,368 men have clicked the link on one of our ads that you've probably seen.
I was also reading where, contrary to the opinion, or I guess contrary to the bias and the slander of many people online who did see a black kid with twists in his head, they can't imagine he's got a good grade point average. So I report that Carmelo Anthony has a 3.7 GPA, works 2 jobs. Good student. and was defending himself. It's funny how, when other people defend themselves, like, Zimmerman, for instance, when he defended himself, everybody was willing to wait until they found out more information. Oh, he was defending himself. He said he was. So let's see what comes out of it. And, it's kind of crazy that, cornball Jason Whitlock didn't compare this to Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman, because they'd be a little bit different. Because in this story, Austin he didn't have a weapon. He was stabbed to death, and Zimmerman had a gun. You get what I'm going with this? But Zimmerman was defending himself. It's just weird how we do this. You get what I'm saying? So people like Steven Crowder and Jason Whitlock, they want to pretend that, Anthony had no right to defend himself, but they didn't say that with Zimmerman. Just weird how we come to these conclusions, man. Just, look, I'll admit, there's got to be more information that's got to come out, but this sounds a little hinky. It sounds a little weird. It doesn't sound like people are being consistent. I mean, Daniel Penny gets to use force and take a life, and it's nothing. He's a hero. And Jordan Neely was unarmed. It's weird. Because being unarmed for us is not a good enough reason. Trayvon was unarmed. Neely was unarmed. Floyd was unarmed. And you guys didn't side with that. You said, he was afraid and it's scary and people are bigger and all this stuff. And, it's just weird how it keeps happening the same way. It doesn't seem like there's any consistency. Only thing that's consistent is when a black person ends up dead, for some reason, the white guy is always given the benefit of the doubt. Stay tuned. Later in this broadcast, you don't want to miss this part where I say this. And my heart also goes out to the Anthony family. Because based on what I've been reading, and the facts could change, if Austin Metcalf just would have kept his hands to himself, this would have never happened. Even when it's like an 80-year-old man who shoots an unarmed black kid at the door, who knocked on the wrong door, shoots him once, and when he falls, shoots him again. Luckily for that, that's the Jarl story, right? Black kid survives after the white guy stood over him with the gun and shoots him on the ground. He was unarmed too. Some of you defended that as well. Oh, what was he doing at his door? It was the wrong door. People knock on people's doors in the daytime sometimes. Shot him through the door. But hey, I don't want to make your head explode. But I just see the same thing consistently playing out. We got these people, man, they're doing a lot of race baiting, Look, everyone knows I'm a Democratic Party hater. I stand by it. Can't stand the Democratic Party. But you know what I hate more than the Democratic Party? Bigots. You know what the worst kind of bigot there is? A bigot that don't know they're a bigot. Well, that's not the worst. I guess the worst would be the intentional bigot like Steven Crowder. And then a sellout. I hate the sellout. I know I'm gonna have to get a trophy to Jason Whitlock. But Steven Crowder's a runner-up in being most detestable human being when it comes to black people's justice. Listen, man. I understand that there are some white people that are pretty upset that this didn't go the other way. I'm upset it happened at all because I'm a decent human being. I'm not from Texas, but I know when somebody says, hey, don't put your hands on me, it's best not to put your hands on that person. Hey, I know that in Maryland, and we don't have the same laws. as they do in Texas. I don't know what people were thinking. I don't know what was supposed to happen. I wish it didn't happen, but it happened. And all I want is for this to be investigated above board. I want the investigation to be out in the open for everyone to see exactly what happened and for all of us to get all the information. And no one has all of the information right now. No one. But if the toxicology report is correct, it does put a wrinkle in things for, the upstanding nature of which everyone keeps on saying Austin Metcalf didn't have any issues. And I'm not saying if you had a drug issue that makes you a bad person. I'm just saying that is a mitigating factor. Maybe he wasn't thinking clearly when he laid his hands upon someone who hadn't put his hands on him. Maybe that will be an extenuating circumstance. I'm not saying it's good or fair or right or wrong. I'm saying it's something to consider. There are people saying it. He wasn't the aggressor, even though he put his hands on someone. I didn't know he was security for the track meet. Some things here are basic that we all agree that I'm seeing from both sides. That part of the story, I've been seeing everyone report the same. And that is that Austin put his hands on Anthony. He didn't have to. He wasn't security. He isn't security. He has no authority to put hands on anyone at any time. And after he was told twice not to. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you think is supposed to happen at that point. I want to also point out, there are some white folks who are conservative, or I don't know, man. I don't even want to call you conservative because you're wacky. You're bringing up shit that doesn't have anything to do with this, and you just grasping at stuff. Look, don't make me bring up stuff. I don't want to go back to start giving you historical references for how many times white guys. It's like you feel attacked that not every time does a white guy. Does the story fall your way? Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't play out your way. I know you're not used to that. Though you're referencing stories that happened in the very recent, last couple of years, you're going, oh my God, even though 1% of cases where cops kill black people, it ever goes to court. I mean, most of the time when cops kill people, it goes nowhere. Nothing happens. You never even hear about it. But I've been bombarded the last 24 hours by people that is just totally beside themselves in this story. America has a history of white guys getting away with doing whatever they want to do to black people. Not just black guys on track meet fields. Texas has a horrible history as well of all types of violence towards black Americans.
That's a big fact.
And very little convictions. Would that be pertinent data, Stephen Crowder? Would that be something to consider Jason Sellout Whitlock? As he scrambles to find sympathy without having all the facts laid out, making a straw man argument about a case in another state with adults in law enforcement as if this got anything to do with that at all. I mean, I know you're a sellout, Jason Whitlock, but you have taken sellout to beyond measures I didn't even know were possible. You're dare I say, you're the Michael Jordan of selling out. Just horrible shit. Talk about comparing apples to oranges. People typically do that. That happens in these stories. You're comparing apples to...
Without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. No matter your industry, Grainger's here for you with professional-grade supplies. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
To toucans. You know, like, what are you doing? These things don't even, things don't relate at all. I don't know what you're doing. I guess he was comparing Austin to George Floyd. I don't know. Well, anyway, here's the thing, guys. This is a disgusting story. It's a sad story. Once again, no one should be happy about it. But I'm getting information is coming out that shows there was somebody who put hands on somebody first. And when you put your hands on anybody you don't know and you have no authority to do so, things happen. Does that mean I'm not a lawyer. You're not a lawyer that I know of. You're not a judge. Okay, I don't know, maybe you are. We're not a trial court or criminal court. So, it's got to play out, but, putting your hands on strangers because they were standing somewhere you didn't think they should be able to stand. There's no security at this place. There's no one to tell. It's up to you to lay hands on people. I don't know. Unfortunately, I think some of the witnesses told the truth initially, and now they're going to go back and change their stories. I'm hoping that the statements that were made when this happened are in stone and won't be able to be modified, because I can see some modifications coming from certain individuals about what took place. I see some, people remaking history on the fly on this one. I want badly to be someone that can take the high road, and try to move us towards an area where we look at things where we can look at something for what it is and all admit this is just a bad thing that happened. Let's try our best to leave our biases at the door and look at it for what it is and come with empathy and be logical and reasonable. But you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to be the only one doing that. Nah. That's one of the problems you mild-mannered Negroes have. Y'all ninjas be too quick to do the kumbaya. You be kumbaya by your damn self. So we're not going to kumbaya on this. If you put your hands on somebody after they said don't touch them, maybe it's a reason for them to say that. Now, from where I come from, when somebody say, hey, don't touch me, people mean that shit. I don't know where y'all come from. I thought in Texas, y'all had that same rule. I don't care if it's one of you or 20 of you. That means give me 10 feet. Give me 5 feet, sir. That's when we back up.
Salute, fam.
This is universal. That being said, once again, man, this is, once again, for the record, guys, I just feel like this is horrific. There are no winners. However this goes, there are no winners.
Nope, nobody.
Two families are irreparably damaged. You do understand that. No matter how this goes. The bots that are running on Twitter on this story are amazing. And the crazies too. Oh man, amazing. And the assholes. But there are people that are being thoughtful. Some of them, I wonder what happened to them. They must be practicing law. Oh, it's no probable cause. You can't use excessive force and blah, 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 blah. You know, all that don't matter. All of it doesn't matter. Someone lost their life. You know? How it could have been avoided is escalation on both sides. Both people could have escalated. De-escalated this. Both people could have de-escalated it. And that's not what happened. The wrong thing happened. These two kids did not de-escalate it. There obviously was no adult. No one de-escalated it. I already know it won't be handled fairly, you know? I already know that. And contrary to the George Floyd people that, Chauvin got a raw deal. Contrary to all of that, historically in this country, in America, if your memory is longer than 2 seconds, cricket people, because they say crickets and flies, house flies, gnats, they don't live that long, and they quickly forget anything. It seems like that's what's going on in the psyche of a lot of you guys. There's a group of people that have historically been wronged, and our justice system tends to look the other way when they have been wronged by a certain group of people. That group of people are us. I know you've been hearing differently lately, because that's the talking point. But it just doesn't pass muster, what you're talking about. Okay? My condolences to the family. And my heart also goes out to the Anthony family. Because based on what I've been reading, and the facts could change, if Austin Metcalf just would have kept his hands to himself, this would have never happened. Yeah, not used to that, are you? Yeah, get used to it. Everyone's not Jason Whitlock. And just because I'm a Democratic Party hater, don't mean I don't stand on business.
That's a fact.
See, Democrats are not the party of black people. Black people who are not attached to the Democratic Party are the party of black people. When I say black people, I mean Black America. I don't mean Nigerians. I don't mean Congolese and other people from other countries who have other places they can go back to. I'm talking Black America from this country, Black America born in this country. It's different. So just because I don't roll with the Democratic Party does not mean I'm jumping into the ring with a bunch of anti-black and I cannot be around a bunch of black people who are not proud of who they are and who for popularity or for a couple likes or to go viral want to kiss ass. You, Cartier family, and LFR, I hope LFR is not doing this. Look, man, hold yourself to a standard. It ain't worth it.
You know Harbor Freight for affordability, but durability goes right along with it. You see, we test and
stand up for yourselves. Don't be like the Hodge twins. Don't be like Tommy Soromore. Don't be like these people. Stand on business. Be better than that. If it comes out, if the facts met out, the facts are fully revealed, we'll take a look at it. But as of right now, based on what I see, no one's been able to disprove. No one's proven to me that Mr. Austin did not put his hands on someone. And that's not murder, even though that's what people are calling it. It's not murder when you put your hands on someone. At worst, it's manslaughter. At worst. So don't let these people on the internet size you up, get your head all big, and then you get your heart broke. Because if you put your hands on somebody who asks you not to twice, all that can happen is manslaughter at the most. But I'm not even going to give you that. We'll see where this goes. All right. I'm sure that people are going to just have to hold that L, see what happens. Because what we're not going to do is we're not going to back down. We're not going to side with you, and we're not going to pretend that we're going to just throw this child away because of this aggressor who felt it was his job to police the track field, put his hands on this young man who may have been afraid for his life. He may have been afraid for his life. We don't know. We don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what the evidence makes out. We'll see what we get from it. But as of everything that I've been reading, folks, everything I've been reading, I'm hearing Dad talk a lot, say a lot of things. But one thing that's very consistent, his son put his hands on that young man first. That's the only thing I heard consistently. That's it. Okay? All right. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. That's enough. Let me know what you're thinking. If you get information about this story, don't just wait for me. Hit me up at tim@timblacktv.com. We're going to continue to follow this story because someone's got to follow it who's not lock and step with the Democrats, because that's horrible, but who's also not kissing up to a bunch of people that show their true colors every time something happens. Every time something happens. Instead of just saying, you know what, this is a horrific story, this should have never taken place. Instead, you want to convict this young man without any evidence, and you know Austin put his hands on him first. Yeah, I know he had a knife, and I also know in Texas, pretty much everyone's armed. I don't know why. It's what it is. It's the culture of Texas, from what I understand. From what I understand, guns and knives are like a common thing to have there. And that's just the way it is. And we all know if these two young people whose lives, one lost his life, one's life is irreparably changed forever. If we could have just de-escalated this doesn't happen. And if they both were the same complexion, none of us will be talking about it. And that's the sad part. That's the sad part. If they were both the same complexion, whatever complexion, if they were the same, none of us would even be talking about this. No, nobody would care. No one in the news would pick it up. It'd have been local as local could be. It'd have been announcement on the school assembly, and they'd have done their grief counseling at the school, and it never would have reached the level of national news, and you know it. It's not a conspiracy against black people or against white people. It's about money. Because they're just making money off our anger and our grief, our bias and our hostility, and our hurt and our pain and our trauma and all that other stuff. All right. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you, guys. Let's move on to the next story. We got more.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks to all my subs and supporters who watch, like, share, and comment on the videos. It's greatly appreciated. Anybody who would like to support the channel, the link to my book, The N-Word is No Secret in the Service, is in the description of every video. We also have the Runaway Slave store, link in the description. Go grab yourself a souvenir or something like that. Let's cook. Okay, people, big time situation buzzing in the news right now. Out in Texas, a place called Frisco, Texas, we have a young black student athlete by the name of Carmelo Anthony, who stabbed and killed a young white student athlete by the name of Austin Metcalf. Really messed up situation. It happened on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Violent altercation broke out between these two, okay? And there's a lot of important details that are missing in this situation. Now, from my understanding, they were at a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas in the morning. Austin Metcalf is a junior at Frisco Memorial High School, and Carmelo Anthony is a student at Frisco Centennial High School. Now, Carmelo Anthony, the black student, was under the white student, Austin Metcalf's team tent, okay? This is where this started at. He's under the other team's tent. Was he allowed to be there? Yes, he was, okay? There's no problem with a student athlete being under another student school's team tent. Students at track meet students all the time. They have friends at other schools. They know each other, things like that. They chill under the other student's tent. And I believe that Carmelo Anthony, being the athlete that he is, people would know him, okay? So Austin Metcalf, he sees Carmelo Anthony under the tent. He wants to come over and be the authority. Austin Metcalf, being the white student athlete, he tells Carmelo, hey, move from under our tent. Carmelo said no. Austin Metcalf goes on, talks his talk. Hey, move, this, and that. He's trying to be the authority, the boss in security, the overseer of the situation. From my understanding, this is his personality. Jay exchanged words. Austin Metcalf says what he wants to say. Carmelo Anthony says what he wants to say. Carmelo says, hey, don't touch me. You know, something like touch me, see what happens. Austin Metcalf does go on to touch Carmelo Anthony or physically assault him in some way. Regardless of the rumors, all the nonsense, this is what happened. Austin Metcalf did initiate the physical violence. How do we know? Here's his twin brother right here telling you part of it.
Asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, you need to move. He's like, make me move. Austin grabbed his backpack. This kid, I tried to whip around him as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So just that's just what I saw. And I tried to help him, but
You ain't trying to do shit.
It was just senseless.
It was really senseless. Really, I don't know why a person would do that to someone just over that little argument. It's just crazy in this world nowadays how people just up and do that. Like that man has a family. That man has people that care about them all the time, and he did everything for our family too. He was a strong man. He was a strong kid. Real strong. And I know this kid. Before I knew his name, now this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, you need to move. He's like, make me move. Austin grabbed his backpack. This kid, I tried to whip around him as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So just that's just what I saw. And I tried it.
Okay, so that's his twin brother right there. That's Austin's twin brother giving people facts. Now, he said right there, Carmelo was verbal, Austin became physical. Regardless of how it makes you feel, that's what happened. Now, the extent of him being physical, that's what we don't know. You know what I'm saying? But his twin brother said it right there. Stop all the nonsense. All this BS that's being put out. Oh, this was over some words exchanged. It was words. It was words at first until Austin Metcalf put his hands on Carmelo, okay? Now, to what extent? That's what we need to know. That's the big question. Did they swing on him? Did he swing on him? Were other people trying to grab his book bag and punch him in the head? You know, what was going on? Did they try to jump him? Did Austin, elbow? What's going on, okay? Now, is his brother trying to minimize the severity of this assault? I don't know. But he admitted right there that this was initiated physically by his brother, okay? That's what's a fact. Carmelo goes in his book bag, pulls out a knife, boom, stabs Austin Metcalf, hits him in the chest. 17 years of age, he passes away. Carmelo runs away from the situation, but he's still around. Look, man, condolences to his family. Messed up situation. The young man, Austin Metcalf, made a bad decision. It turned out to be unfortunate. And, that's what Carmelo Anthony's father said also. That's how he feels about it. You know what I'm saying? But he still has a lot of work to do for his son. Both of these kids are 17 years of age, student athletes. Carmelo Anthony was arrested. He was charged with murder. They took him to the Collin County Jail on April 3rd, set his bond at $1 million. They said that when Carmelo was arrested, okay, he said to the arresting officer, "I was protecting myself. He put his hands on me." Carmelo also asked if the guy he stabbed is going to be okay. He didn't know that Austin Metcalf was going to pass away. Carmelo also admitted that he did this because he was attacked. He said it was self-defense. Now, here's the thing. There are a bunch of white supremacists and other people saying that this was just an argument, okay? On social media, on various outlets. Yes, it was just an argument until Austin Metcalf turned this into a physical assault. His twin brother said it right there, okay? There are many white supremacists in America right now who are giving biased information about this situation and trying to turn this into a political thing. Of course, a lot of these MAGA people, okay? You know, these political Americans, they turn everything that they can into a situation that'll benefit their political party. The Republicans do this, the Democrats do this. We see these white supremacists do this whenever they can bring something up, when something happens to a white person. And then we see these liberal Democrat white supremacists, they take events that we go through as Black people that are tragedy and traumatizing, and they use that to prop themselves up, you know, and say, well, look, this is because you conservatives did this. They're always using our, you know, our trauma and our tragedies for their own political benefit. They don't care about us. But these white supremacists, they go all out, you know, when they hear about these situations where a Black person did something to a white person, because simply America is grounded and based on racism. And in America, white people typically overall do not like Black people. And in response, vice versa, okay? White people were made white by America. They were made white, and they are racist. Overall energy, this is what I'm saying, okay? This is what I'm saying, overall energy. That it is what it is, okay? And these people, they use these type of situations for their own political benefit. The MAGA people are going wild right now, okay? They're on the media going in, okay? And the narrative that they're pushing is, at first, they were pushing, well, this Black guy just came and stabbed this good white boy who's a 4.0 student in the chest. You know, that's what he did to him. He's a monster. Lies. And all those lies are not going to matter, okay? Yes, Austin Metcalf is a good student athlete. So is Carmelo. He's a student athlete as well with good grades, college bound, from a good family, okay?
Contact Roberts Air for all your heating and cooling needs.
They are posting pictures of Carmelo Anthony with a fake airsoft gun, okay? They keep throwing this picture up to say, oh, well, he's a thug. Look, he's there with a gun. The gun is fake. It's an airsoft gun that he's playing with. But there are also pictures of Austin and his brother with real guns, okay? Then they go on and post pictures of Carmelo Anthony standing, sticking up his middle finger. Okay, here's Austin sticking up his middle finger. Then they're saying that Carmelo wasn't supposed to be there. Whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. Carmelo's a thug. Whatever. Carmelo did this and that. All that does not matter. He had a knife. Okay. Whatever. They're saying he took it there to do this. Why does he have a knife? He has a knife because boom, boom, this and that or whatever. They're making up these stories. That means absolutely nothing. These kids carry knives all the time. I'm sure those white kids are out there carrying hunting knives and all kind of other things. Many of us, when we were 17 years of age, going somewhere, carried some kind of knife or a weapon, okay? It may be beef, I don't know. He's going to this other team's field. This is Texas. It's white supremacists out there. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know, maybe he felt that he needed this knife. Unfortunately, America is a very violent place. Why he had a knife? That's no, come on, whatever, man, whatever. Actually, the white kid, Austin's father, he got tired of these MAGA people himself, you know, turning this into something that it isn't. Here's his father.
I want to clarify something right off the start because I've already heard some rumors and gossip. This was not a race thing, and this is not a political thing. Please do not comment if you do not know what happened. Do not turn this into a racial thing. It was not. Do not politicize this. It's not. This is a human being thing. This person made a bad choice, and it affected both his family and my family forever.
There you go. That's for all these MAGA maggots turning this thing into a political situation. You know what I'm saying? Trying to spin this narrative right here. But he did say, this is his father. This is Austin's father. He did say that if Carmelo is guilty, he should get the death sentence. I get it. That's a dad speaking. I would say the same thing, okay? Now, Carmelo's family has a hardcore lawyer, a dude by the name of attorney Derek Walpole. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He said, I know that my client said it was self-defense. I don't have any reason to disbelieve that, but I need to develop facts, talk to people, and figure out what's going on before I make my statements about what I think happened. I don't have any reason to think it wasn't self-defense at this time. And this guy, Derek Walpole, who Carmelo's family got to represent them, said that he's requesting a hearing next week to lower Carmelo Anthony's $1 million bail, okay? Now, look, this is the only thing that matters here, regardless of how anybody feels. I don't care what side they on in this, okay? This is all that matters, okay? When Austin Metcalf physically assaulted Carmelo Anthony, when he put his hands on him and he turned this into a physical situation and Carmelo responded with the knife, was it self-defense? And does it fall under the scope of Texas stand your ground? That's all that matters. All this back and forth on the internet with the racist MAGA people talking and the black folks, you know, defending Carmelo Anthony's identity and character. I get it. They should, because that's what we got to do as black people. But don't get all caught up in that with these back and forth with all these people, because at the end of the day, this is what matters. You know what I'm saying? And besides that, all of these people are going to go away. They're all going to go away. They're riding a wave. It's going to be Carmelo and his family and his legal team going to court alone. So was this self-defense in Texas? Yes or no? Okay? Yes or no? Now, Austin's father did say something else that was wrong, by the way. I got to go back to that. His father is tired of the MAGA nonsense, but he did say he's misinformed too. He said, Texas law doesn't allow a person to use deadly force in response to verbal provocation alone. False. It wasn't verbal, Dad. It wasn't verbal. Your son, your other twin son, cleared that up on his own in the video. He wasn't just verbally provoked, okay? Your son, your other twin, cleared that up in the video. He turned it physical. So that's what it is. Now I'm reading now. The Texas Stand Your Ground law allows individuals to use force, including deadly force, to defend themselves without the duty to retreat, as long as they are in a place where they have the legal right to be and are not provoking the altercation. This law applies to situations where a person reasonably believes they are in immediate danger or harm. Okay. That's what Carmelo Anthony, his family, and his legal team are probably going to ride out on. That's the bottom line right there. That's the bottom line. A few more details, a few more witnesses, but we know already what happened and who turned this thing physical. What was the extent, okay? What was the extent? In order to qualify to claim self-defense, the accused must, I'm reading, reasonably believe force was necessary to stop or prevent the target's use of unlawful force, not provoke the unlawful force, not be engaging in a crime, use the minimum force reasonably necessary to defend oneself or another in the situation. Okay? So this is why all that matters is the actual altercation. Austin Metcalf turned this into a physical assault of some sort. They're going with the self-defense. All the rest is background music. All that, oh, he wasn't supposed to be there. He had this, whatever, man. Witnesses will be very important here. And yes, them white folks, the white community out there will be threatening their people. They will be putting pressure on anybody from the white community who feels as though they're going to go on record and make a statement that may be in Carmelo Anthony's favor. But Austin's twin brother already made statements publicly that are in Carmelo Anthony's favor. More have also, okay? He got on camera and started telling the truth because he wasn't schooled properly or whatever, you know? But that's a good look for Austin and his family. So we got to see what happens, man. You know what I mean? I think Carmelo Anthony and his family and his legal team are going to try to get this knocked down as much as they could, either the self-defense route or possibly criminally negligent homicide, if possible. You know, self-defense is a good route to take, but I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe get it knocked down to criminally negligent homicide, if possible. Now, this is me personally. Do I believe Carmelo is going to prison? Yes. But the question is, for how long? You know what I mean? They need to get this thing knocked down so he has a chance to be out in his 20s. You know, maybe if they could get this knocked down and prove criminally negligent homicide, you know, with his record, boom, real light time. I'm talking under 5 years or something. Self-defense, get all the way off. I don't know what route they're going, you know, I don't know. There are more things that his legal team has to find out. I hope that this lawyer he has, that they have, is smart. And if they get an opportunity to look at it like, okay, well, boom, we can get him off on this. Let's take that, or we're going to ride it. I don't know, yo. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Now, a factor that is working in Carmelo's favor as well, I believe, is he asked the police officer if the guy that he stabbed, being Austin Metcalf, was all right. Okay, so maybe this thing is, it wasn't an intent to kill. He wanted to know if he was okay. He didn't know that he would die. He figured I panicked. I just pulled out a knife, boom, to keep him up off me, you know? So, messed up situation. I don't think this young man, Carmelo Anthony, is supposed to get a big rack of time. Self-defense in the state of Texas, stand your ground. Hey, they made the law. They're going to ride that out, or they're going to try to get it dropped to something else, possibly criminally negligent homicide. Damn, that word, I can't keep saying it. But here's the thing, man, check. If there's one thing that Austin Metcalf, the young white student athlete's parents, would go back, if they could tell him anything about that day, if they could go back, they would say, son, do not approach anyone. You are not the authority. Go get an administrator. Go get a security guard. Go get a coach. Go get somebody. Go get a teacher. That's what they would tell their son. I'm 100% sure. Don't go approaching people trying to be the authority. Your job is not to do that. You know what I'm saying? Leave people alone. You don't know how they will respond. And I'm not condoning none of the violence, but look, violence is American. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Messed up situation. You know, when we come, this stuff happen in the hood every day. Y'all know that. Not saying that that makes it right, but it happens in other places every day too. But all this stuff with all the lying that people doing, putting out these fake stories. Oh, it was a verbal when he put out a knife. And another one that's really pushing this is this old disgusting guy here, Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock. You got to feel disgusting as a human being to where the only way you can get white people to like your big, fat, nasty, stanking behind is to say things that are always counterproductive to black people. You know, that's your whole platform. The only reason why white people act like they like you temporarily is because you say things that makes them feel good. You should feel like a piece of trash. Here, Jason Whitlock. People like him, you know, or any other people. But I don't know, people get in the comments easy.
On this road, I told you, we had to make a detour. We got lost. And why are you driving him? He's my boss. He can't be out here at night. This is sundown town. Get him out of the car. Come on, get out now. Get out now. Get out. Got ID?
Imagine driving down a picturesque main street lined with quaint shops and restaurants, only to stumble upon a haunting relic of a bygone era. A weathered sign, faded but still legible, bearing a menacing warning. Don't let the sun go down on you here. The message is clear. You are not welcome. And if you value your life, you will leave before sunset. For generations, this sinister phrase echoed through the streets of thousands of American towns, a constant reminder to African Americans that they were not wanted, that their presence was a threat to the very fabric of these communities. These were the sundown towns, places where segregation and violence against blacks reigned supreme, where the simple act of being black could be a death sentence. This is a dark legacy. No, not ever, I disagree now. A white legacy, this is, of America's racist past, one of exclusion and hatred that continues to impact communities, even to this present day of 2023, 2024. We've barely even begun 2025.
Even in 2023, you still have sundown towns in America, but yet America will go to a lot of your countries and try to tell you about democracy and human rights, but yet they have sundown towns in America. But yes, in 2023, black people can't be in certain towns or something will happen to them. Now, is that legal? No, it's not legal. It's not legal on the state level. It's not legal on the federal level. It's not legal whatsoever. But it's not being prosecuted at all.
You heard that. Now, this was the following year. Same reporter, same report.
So even in 2024, you still have some sundown towns. These sundown towns should be plastered. Why isn't we don't have federal investigations into that? Why aren't they sending federal agents into these so-called sundown towns?
We can all well see that this diligent reporter here was merely reporting in 2024 on a situation that he had already talked about in the previous year of 2023, which had rolled over. Apparently, the situation in question did go unaddressed, hence his repetition of the report. These, sadly, are events happening still in these recent times, mind you, and this could only be because the American government does turn a blind eye to this. The legacy of sundown towns is indeed a painful reminder.
This where that attitude, we don't watch this video because this is where that attitude comes from, where a person think they can walk with the black people and say, hey, you ain't wanted around here, you get over there somewhere, that type of shit.
Of the darkest corners of the American experience. It's a story of crippling racism, of violence, a story of untellable suffering, and a story of the resilience of a people who refuse to be erased. As we delve into the poignant history of these towns and the cruelty blacks were beset with in that bestial era, we are forced to confront the uncomfortable truth about our nation's past and the ways in which that past continues to shape our present. Before we begin proper, don't forget to support our endeavors by hitting the thumb button of this video. Share with friends and families to keep spreading our eye-opening black narrative, and consider subscribing to stay tuned in if you are yet to. We are glad to have you with us on this journey. Now let's go down the sordid tracks.
When you get pulled over in a sundown town.
How you doing today, officer?
License and registration, boy.
May I ask why you pulled me over today?
Shut your goddamn mouth, boy. Now what you doing in my town?
I'm coming from work.
From work? What plantation you work on, boy?
Plantation? No, I work at Costco's.
I don't remember seeing Negroes at Yeah, I'm gonna need some backup.
I mean,
here, possibly armed and dangerous.
What? I mean,
yeah, I'm going.
Officer Madison, is this you?
What you call me, boy?
Officer Madison.
Who told you my name, boy?
No, it says it right there on your badge. Officer Madison.
Oh, you must be a free Negro.
Of course.
Not in my town. Where you learn to read? Boy, where did you learn to read?
Elementary school?
You step out the car.
This is only just one among several other videos of live encounters of blacks out here in the U.S. of what it means to still get caught in a sundown town. And this particular event happened only over a year ago in 2023. Shocking, isn't it? We could all very well hear a grown black man being asked just now where he learned how to read in this modern time.
What? I mean,
Yeah, I'm going.
Officer Madison, is this
What you call me, boy?
Officer Madison?
Who told you my name, boy?
No, it says it right there on your badge. Officer Madison.
Oh, you must be a free Negro.
Of course.
Not in my town. Where you learn to read? Boy, where did you learn to read?
What could be more derogatory? Suffice it to say that the most worrisome thing here is the police and security personnel in these so-called sundown towns being the ones in the forefront championing this barbarism against hardworking blacks.
Sundown towns should not be in existence. But let me tell you really how black people get caught up in those sundown towns. So these brothers you talking about are truck drivers, or maybe a person get lost somewhere. People have went to gas stations and they try to warn you and let you know, say, hey, you know where you at? They say, it's not a good place for you to be. You probably want to leave. They'll try to warn you to get out of town. But if you are caught, this is normally how they get you. The white supremacists are the police too. They the police chief, they all the police. So what they'll do is the police will pull you over. For nothing, literally. They pull you over, and then they'll call their white supremacist friends. And then the police will take you somewhere, and then they let their white supremacist friends, and they're going to get involved with it too. And then they're going to, torture you, and they're going to unalive you. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to get rid of the evidence in the car because they're the police. That's what they do in these sundown towns. So that you know, there's not no random Klan to show up with it's the police.
This is happening in this modern world of ours today. Clearly, racism seems inextricably embedded in the fabrics of the American system. This is the only logical reason why, although sundown towns may have spread through the entire American society, the American government would turn a blind eye or continue to do or say nothing about it. The idea of sundown towns was never clandestine, nor a hidden activity in the first place. It has been a major established force of the United States constitutional beliefs and policies. Thus, the American government hears loudly, very loudly indeed, but does nothing concerning what it has allowed.
But yes, in 2023, black people can't be in certain towns or something will happen to them. Now, is that legal? No, it's not legal. It's not legal on the state level. It's not legal on the federal level. It's not legal whatsoever. But it's not being prosecuted at all. The federal government isn't coming down and saying, hey, we hearing this is a sundown town. You know what we about to do? We about to investigate everybody and see what kind of crimes or anything happen here. People come up missing. And they'll quit that mess. They'll quit. But they're not going to do that because always remember, they're all on code. No matter if they're Democrat or Republican, they're all on code with each other. Understand that? And the only time they're going to do something, unless we expose it to the public, and now they're going to have to deal with it.
You all heard that. They're all on codes, which is why nothing is going to be done about what they allowed. What are sundown towns to begin with?
A sundown town is basically a town full of racist white supremacists, male and female. And if you're a black person in that town at nightfall, then they will attack and take your life. You understand what I'm saying?
A sundown town is not just a place where something racist happened. It is an entire community or even county that for decades was all white on purpose.
It's come to my attention that a lot of people on this app don't realize that sundown towns still exist or even know what a sundown town is. So let me catch you up to speed, okay? So Sundown towns are basically towns where melanated people either need to be inside at a certain time or they need to be outside of the city limits at a certain time. And like I said, those still exist in 2024. If you don't believe me, all the people that drive from New Orleans to Houston to New Orleans, y'all know there are certain cities on I-10 that you're not going to stop at. You don't care if your tire's falling off. You don't care if your whole front end falling off. Your car could be smoking. There is no way in hell you're going to stop in those certain cities along I-10 on your way either to Houston from New Orleans or from Houston to New Orleans. Like, you're not going to stop.
Sundown towns were municipalities that, through a combination of violence, intimidation, and economic coercion, forcibly excluded African Americans and other minority groups from living within their borders. These towns were often marked by signs at the city limits warning African Americans not to stay after sundown. The message was clear: you are not welcome here.
Why is Amazon paying me $63,000 a month? Well, I didn't make this kind of money selling yogurt.
So I was today years old when I found out what a sundown town is. Apparently, a sundown town is a town where the residents are only white. Okay, you can work there if you're a person of color in the daytime, but when the sun sets, you need to be out of there. And if you're not, you can risk being killed, beaten, arrested, ran out of town, or even lynched. And I also heard sometimes the cops don't even intervene if a white person is doing something to you because you're not supposed to be out there after the sun sets anyway. If you're caught driving out at night through a sundown town and you're a person of color, you're not safe. So before you take any trips, please do your research on sundown towns. Ever heard the phrase, be in before the streetlights come on? The generational trauma passed on. That's where that came from.
Sundown towns are the reason why we pack food for the road. If y'all don't believe me, y'all could go online and Google a map of all the sundown towns that still exist.
When I tell you it was heinous, I'm going to have to be careful how I word this so that I don't get in trouble, but I think it needs to be said because I am sick and tired of hearing people say that people of color just need to get over it already because it was so long ago. No, it wasn't. My father remembers his father raising hunting dogs that he would rent out on the weekend for hunting parties, only these weren't regular hunting parties. These big bubbas would set up these almost lemonade type stands during the week and sell these little cards for like, I don't know, a nickel, 25 cents. They were person of color hunting licenses. And everyone who bought one during the week, they would gather together on the weekend with all their trucks and they would round up as many people of color in the surrounding areas as they could find, turn them loose in the woods and set the dogs after them. There are people alive today whose family were hunted down in the woods by dogs, and they raised their children to have a well-earned distrust of white people and of police officers. Because I guarantee you.
So you wonder why a little brother in Texas will tell his white boy, don't touch me now. And why a white boy in Texas will tell a little brother, you're not welcome around here. I'm telling you.
Any of the police officers that weren't wearing the hoods were turning a blind eye.
I don't remember when I learned the term sundown town, but I do remember my first experience with one. 20-something, almost 20 years ago, I'm leaving my technical school, graduating. I'm fully in the Air Force, and I have a truck, so I could go home. I could drive myself home on leave from Texas back to Mississippi. So I'm driving from San Antonio, and I'm so happy I get released from training. No more reporting statements. No more 341s or whatever that little form that we have to keep on us at all time and whatnot. And I'm going home to see my mama. So, Mom, I made it. I'm in the Air Force. And so I just randomly got released that day, immediately packed up my truck and hit the road. I did not eat that day. So I'm about 5 hours east of San Antonio, just east of Houston. And I was like, man, I am on my last calorie. And I pull off of I-10 in a little town, I think it's called Vidor, V-I-D-O-R, Texas, Vidor. And I stop into a McDonald's, and I tell you, The music stopped as soon as I walked in that McDonald's. So this is right after stuff.
Everybody named Mama in Texas know, black people know, don't go to Fighter.
The sun had gone down, and everybody stopped what they was doing, and everyone in there was staring at me. Customers, employees, the manager stuck their head out the back and asked for some food. And as a former McDonald's employee when I was in high school, I have never seen food be delivered to a customer that fast. I'm fairly certain they just gave me somebody else's food so I can get my, black ass out of the restaurant. It was the most awkward, painful situation I have ever been in. And keep in mind, I've been in the Air Force a little over 6 months at this point. So I kind of forgotten that, America is a really bad place. And some places are worse than others. And, so I just took that food, promptly threw it away, and I stayed hungry until I made it to Lafayette, Louisiana, where I stopped to get food. And all the times that I've gone back and forth, up and down I-10 over the last 20 years, I still do not stop in that town, and I don't gas up or get food until we hit Lafayette.
I actually been to a sundown town. It was actually my 8th grade year in middle school, right? And I was the only black girl on our basketball team at the time. So we had a basketball tournament in Vega, Texas. So I had a basketball tournament in Vega, Texas. And I didn't know anything about Vega, Texas before going there, anything like that. So immediately we're going into the school for our basketball tournament. And my friend is all holding on to me, like, hold on, like, like all over me. And I'm just like, girl, why you on me? And like very protective, like a kind of protective kind of thing. And at that point, I did not realize I was in the sundown town area. But when we first entered the city of Vega, before we got to the school, I did see a sign outside that says, welcome to Vegas, Texas, no colored people out at night. Then I seen like on business windows as we were going down the street and things like that, I had seen like coloreds and whites. Now I'm looking at this stuff, but I'm like, I cannot believe my eyes are seeing what I'm seeing. Like it scarred me for life pretty much. And I'm just like, there's no way that this shit still exists. I'm thinking in my head, should I even be here? But back to the tournament, right? We walk into school. There's nothing but white students. I don't see not one black person in sight. I'm the only black person there, and I am the black girl on the team. So my friend is like sticking beside my side real hard, and I'm like, girl, what's going on? She was like, well, this school, like, I heard it's kind of racist, things like that. That's what she told me. So it clicked. I was like, I'm in a fucking sundown town. So we're playing our basketball game, whatever. I'm not for sure if we won that game or not, but I know I heard comments from the stands while I was playing saying, oh, that black girl this, that black girl that. I can't really for sure remember what they were saying, but they were talking about my skin complexion. Yeah, but definitely after I left that basketball tournament, it kind of scarred me for life. And I remember it like very like seeing the colored. Like, that was my first encounter with a sundown town, like, straight up. And it scarred me for life that towns and people like that still exist. Like, it's crazy. But I tell my coworkers this, you need to know what a sundown town is. And to my black people, if you guys are going to be traveling to places, you need to make sure that you do your research to make sure that you're not passing through an area that's a sundown town, okay? For your safety, because we still have ignorant people.
Do this 7 minutes a day until May 1st. We start on Monday, April 7th. In a week, you'll feel better.
People out here who want to be back in those times, and they just don't want to face the fact that we're finally free.
Yes, sundown town. I've had the misfortune of running across one sundown town in my entire life. And as I was rolling in, it said, such and such town limits. Underneath it, it said this is a sundown town. I didn't understand what that meant. My passenger, he started freaking out. Like he was freaking out and he wanted to turn around and leave. And I didn't understand why. And then a little bit later, it came across another sign that said, N-word, do not let the sun set on your black ass or you will be swinging in the morning. I turned around and left real fast. Does that explain to you what a sundown town is?
And just while these troubling encounters of Black experiences in sundown towns kept popping up in the Black community recently, something quite shocking and stranger happened just late 2024 that got people talking even more. The Hurricane Helene.
Houses are floating away.
Oh, look at them all.
Winds now up to 130 miles per hour.
Every 5 minutes, a tree was falling so close that the entire house and the entire foundation of the house was shaking around us.
It was catastrophic.
It is the strongest hurricane to make landfall in Florida's Big Bend region on record. It's brought massive amounts of rain, historic flooding. We have team coverage across the storm zone, starting with Ginger in Treasure Island, Florida. Good morning, Ginger.
George, this storm is remarkable for so many reasons. We had 5 to 7 feet of record storm surge. You see the piling of that pontoon. This boat here, they're in front of a house, as are dozens of others up and down the street. They were pushed by the actual ocean water with that record surge up and over 4 lanes of a causeway. This is just the beginning of the damage because obviously at best we were 110 miles per hour from the center of that storm, but it just plowed through Georgia. There's flash flood emergencies in Atlanta up through North Carolina right now.
Overnight, Hurricane Helene slamming into Florida's Big Bend, making landfall as a deadly Category 4 storm. Catastrophic sustained wind up to 140 miles per hour, the first ever Cat 4 on record for the Big Bend.
Oh, there goes.
The warnings of unsurvivable storm surge eerily playing out in Steinhatchee. Entire homes swept away.
Row houses floating away.
Ripped off their foundation by Helene's surge. The porch on this home left behind. The scene illuminated by lightning. At least 5 people are dead across Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. One of those deaths happened when this sign fell onto a car in Florida.
That just shows you that it's very dangerous conditions out there.
The storm's footprint, massive. You can see it from the satellite there in space. Tropical storm force winds extending up to 310 miles from the center.
We had a 76 mile per hour wind gust, and we are 150 miles away from the center of the storm. That's how far reaching this thing is.
Florida Highway Patrol shutting down major bridges across Tampa Bay. Record surge making it too dangerous to pass. Waves battering all lanes. Down in Fort Myers, rescuers fighting the wind, deploying boats in waist-high floodwater. In South Pasadena, first responders rushing to emergency calls of raging fires surrounded by storm surge. And in Clearwater, a man and his dog rescued after his 36-foot sailboat started taking on water. Officials in the Big Bend asking those who chose not to evacuate before the storm to write their name and birth date on their body with permanent marker, hoping that that could help with identification in case of the worst.
My goodness. I think my roof is coming apart. Yeah, this is the real deal.
Michael Bobbitt staying behind, rescuing his neighbors on Cedar Key.
Their house is going to be completely covered in water. They would have died in that house.
More than 3 million customers without power, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina so far. This AccuWeather storm chaser capturing transmission towers igniting. 911 overload. Cars abandoned on roads, water too high.
This storm is raging.
Waves crashing over walls, flooding homes.
I really couldn't even evacuate if I wanted to at this point.
Water flooding Matthew Heller's living room in Tampa, forcing him to break out his kayak to get around.
I've got probably 5 feet of water in my lower level right now.
This video showing the flood's sheer power as it rushed in.
Everything's gone.
Leaving downed trees and power lines, buckled railroad tracks, cars overturned.
Only just a few months ago, in September 2024, a devastation struck. Hurricane Helene swept through Southeast America, killing over 180 people and causing up to $160 billion in property damage. According to reports, Helene made landfall in Florida on September 26, 2024, as a Category 4 hurricane, bringing catastrophic damage and flooding to several states, including Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia.
This next story I'm about to tell you is not one of celebration, so I just want to preface that before I start. So you guys have heard a lot about the Hurricane Helene to be exact, that made landfall in late September, and it hit states like Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia, and the Carolinas, if you will. Now, it said it was about 140 mile an hour winds that went through a lot of those states, causing a lot of flooding. Even to this recording, there's flooding, there's hundreds of people missing, and there's about 180 people to this point that have been verified killed.
The deadly storm has left many areas in the southeast U.S. struggling to recover.
I'm okay.
My car's gone.
I'm okay. It's okay.
Everything's gone. It's all gone.
It's okay. It's okay.
Are your parents okay?
They're okay.
Was anybody in the gym?
It's okay. It's okay.
It's all gone. All those buildings that used to be there, the depot, Ponder's Auto, Lois's building, Jeff Riddle's warehouse. The level of destruction is unreal.
The winds knocked down trees, which sometimes fell on buildings, cars, and electrical lines. The storm flooded rivers and creeks, and in some areas it even caused tornadoes. It was so devastating that in some of these areas, helicopters were needed to rescue people from the roof of a hospital. In other areas, flooding and landslides cut off towns and communities. Some of these places have been left without clean water.
This morning, Helene's devastation gripping communities across the southeast, the death toll rising. At least 227 people killed. Downed trees and mud cutting off towns in North Carolina, with authorities working to restore power across the state. In the small town of Bat Cave, we witness Helene's dark aftermath. And I want you to see what's happening with this house here. It appears that this home was completely moved off its foundation. You see the chimney here. This is the chimney that's really in the ground, and there's the rest of it. A remote town decimated, bridges sliced in half, making access significantly challenging.
Rescue efforts, too, have been slowed by the large amount of damage. Some of the people who need the most help live in areas that are very difficult to reach.
Some residents here still trapped at home, volunteers using ATVs. They just told us they're trying to get to somebody up on the mountain.
Many roads are still blocked by fallen trees and other debris. In western North Carolina, over 400 roads are closed. In some locations, only emergency vehicles are allowed on the roads. In many areas, the storm knocked out power and cell service. Close to 2 million people were said to be stuck without power, and many turned up missing. Very sad, isn't it? But that's not all. Something also very unexpected and weird happened alongside this hurricane devastation that got the whole internet abuzz with wonderment. Hurricane Helene, in all its destruction, was said to have only destroyed the sundown towns in the United States. Yes, you heard correctly. Only the sundown towns were affected.
Grand Rising TikTok. Man, I just found out that the hurricane only hit all sundown towns all across the South. Tennessee, North Carolina, Florida, all them sundown towns. God came through and wiped out the whole city. And remember now, we got 3 more hurricanes coming next week. I hope Yahushua will make it 15 hurricanes. I mean, this is good news. This is good news. I love hurricanes. I tell you, I love hurricane. I love tornadoes. I love that. I love it because that's the work of God.
Did y'all hear about them sundown towns that just got swept away in the hurricane? Well, I bet y'all didn't know. Oh, you did? Okay, good. I bet y'all didn't know that just days prior to them getting swept away in the hurricane, which, by the way, only the sundown towns got affected as badly as we see it on our timelines. Yeah, but just days prior to that, guess what? On Telegram, right? Apparently, there's a group. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they just got caught by Homeland Security and the FBI. Now,
imagine making $453,000 in a single month as an affiliate marketer without relying on.
apparently, word on the street is allegedly they've been planning to do incite a race war here in America. The plan was to incite a global race war. Baby, it's people from all over the globe in that group, in that Telegram group. Look it up. It's here on TikTok. They got a video about it as well. Apparently, word on the street is that they was teaching each other how to make them kablooies, the big kablooies, so that the ones that got pipes in them. They was teaching each other how to do that, how to do them acts of, I can't say it because of community guidelines, but use your imagination. It goes in a box and you package it up and you leave it. Okay, it may come with a detonator. They was teaching each other how to do that. They was giving each other advice on how to fulfill these tasks. And basically, it was all due to the election. It was going to start kicking off around the election. As you can tell, we're close to the election. So for 30 days, things were supposed to kick off here, there, everywhere. They all plan to do it globally. And it was just caught by Homeland Security. Now, how is it that y'all was just caught by Homeland Security and then literally days later after you're caught by Homeland Security, all of a sudden 3 hurricanes sweep through and the only thing that gets taken out is them sundown towns? Baby, God is trying to tell you something. Let go of that hate from your heart, because it is driving you into the deepest, darkest pits of hell.
It seemed like that storm hit a bunch of sundown towns. I don't know. You tell me. Y'all tell me. But it seemed like a lot of the places where it hit, and it didn't even hit none of the places it was really supposed to hit the hardest. It hit a bunch of the sundown towns up there in North Carolina and Tennessee. Now, I'm not wishing bad on them, but I'm just saying, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know what's going on.
I'm telling you, man, my intuition be working crazy sometimes, because that's exactly what I was thinking, and it seems like I was right. It is a lot of sundown towns. Let's check it out together.
I think y'all understand how bad it is in the southeast right now. We have towns that don't exist anymore. Chimney Rock is gone.
He just mentioned Chimney Rock. Now we're gonna look at the demographic in Chimney Rock. Let's check it out. Chimney Rock demographics. The racial makeup of the village was 94% white. You know what I'm saying? Native American, then you got other races. Black is not even in there. All right. So there goes fact number 1 for y'all. It's crazy. Let's check out another one.
The city of Asheville is cut off from the world. It's not
Now let's check out Asheville. Let's see what the demographic of Asheville is like. Asheville, we got 80% white, Black or African American 10%, and then the other races 4%, and then 1%. So as you can see, the majority is white, and that's somewhat of a sundown town, or obviously majority of a white town. So yeah, he's right, and my intuition was right too. Let's see what else you say real quick.
This is on Highway 123 heading from Paisley to Greenville. And this was a 1-mile-long line to get gas because they were the only people we knew around that had gas left. I got all the way to the end and they were out. They had no gas. We checked every gas station in Pickens and Easley and Liberty.
So I guess you said, Easley, Pickens, and Liberty. I'm not sure what state these towns are in, but I'm going to try to look them up real quick since it's sort of relevant, obviously. Let's see what we got. So we got Pickens, North Carolina. We got 72% white, 13% Black African American, and then 11% other races and Asian, and 1%. All right, so it's looking like a majority Caucasian so far. Let's see what else we got. Then finally, we got Liberty, Tennessee, 91% white, 7% Black African American, and then less than 1% Asian. And as a matter of fact, Black African American is less than 1%. Other races is 7%. So yeah, it's looking like a majority, Caucasian and heathen sundown town. So yeah, there you go.
So North Carolina, did y'all really think y'all were gonna hang a black man and get away with it? Really? Did you really think, North Carolina, that you were going to hang a black man, say that he committed suicide and get away with that shit? No. That's why God sent Helen, flooded out all that shit. Yeah, look, man, all these sundown towns, I want God to destroy them. All of them. I want him to drown them people. I don't care, man. I don't give a fuck, man. I don't give a fuck. All sundown towns. Look. I'm asking for it. I'm asking for the destruction of sundown towns. But y'all thought y'all was going to hang people and that it was just going, no, not my God. Not my God.
It's just mighty coincidental that Hurricane Helene flooded out a lot of those sundown towns. No, I'm not saying that they deserved it. I don't want y'all to think that I'm saying I don't think anybody deserves to lose their entire lives, at the blink of an eye because of a storm. But it's mighty fucking coincidental. Okay? They exist. Don't be delusional. They're still out there. There's still racism out there. I feel like people brushing it under a rug because it's a tragedy. I get that. But the facts of the situation is that a lot of these places were sundown towns. Do I think people or anybody deserve? No. But again, the facts are that a lot of these places that flooded out unexpectedly were sundown towns. Feel free to go ahead and Google it. Not all, but some of them. Most of them.
They really thought the ancestors forgot. I'm going to say it again like Dr. Umar. They really thought the ancestors forgot. They tried to lie to us. They tried to cover up Javion's case. And now this is the worst flood ever in the history of North Carolina. And for my people that had to get in the way of this, for my Black people that had to get in the way of this, I apologize. I wish I had multiple trucks where I can just come and had a team of people just come deliver to my people. And to other races, as long as you're not in a sundown town, and long as you're not holding my people back, long as you're not trying to kidnap my people, long as you're not trying to harm my people.
The internet and media have been so abuzz with so much excitement concerning this devastating outbreak and the manner in which nature had chosen to go about it. And while the Black community were all caught up in the news, some in the strangest astonishment, while others in their wildest indignation, this didn't sit well with the white community.
Uncle Wolfie here. Why the seeing people praising all these people dying, all these towns gone? Because they think it's sundown towns. I am an anthropology major, and I am going to spend the next few years proving that these sundown towns do not work in the capacity that they used to. I am from Vidor, Texas. I lived there, grew up there, still have family there. Here's their logo. And I have every different shade of wheat in my family. Prepare to see a book in a few years because this pisses me off. These towns are not like they were 40 years ago whatsoever. I was 10 minutes down the road from Jasper, Texas when that man got dragged down the road. These are just Americans at this point. Most of those people who were super and overly racist have died off. These are just Americans. Stop saying dumb shit.
Are you online celebrating the destruction of Appalachia because you think that it's just a bunch of sundown towns? Are you aware that there is a Cherokee Nation in those mountains? There are Black Americans in those mountains. There are Latino Americans in those mountains. If you don't believe me, go look up the list of who lost their lives at impact plastics in Tennessee. It shouldn't matter. I shouldn't have to be pointing out the minorities to you. What your heart should break. These are your countrymen, for God's sake. Like, I'm stunned. I'm floored. What you're participating in is not leftist. It's not a leftist ideology ideal. What you're participating in is classist, ableist bullshit and an insane prejudice towards the South because you've been conditioned to believe that you are so much better and you are not.
Entire towns are wiped off the map. They have to airlift everything in because you cannot drive on the roads. My light just went out. Just like the light is going to go out in your eyes if you talk about my dang hometown again, buddy. I'm going to knock them out.
I'm sitting in my house that has not had power for 4 days, and you come on my page and say something like that. Appalachia is arguably one of the most racially diverse areas in the country. My friend group growing up was comprised of poor white trash, Native Americans, Mexicans, other Hispanic people, African Americans. Hell, we even had a Melungeon friend who was a mix of all three. For us people living in Appalachia, it's never been about race. It's been about class. And Appalachia is very much so a working class area. There's not a lot of economic opportunities out here, and most of all of us are poor. And to say that we were underprepared is an understatement. And for you to go and say something as cruel and as mean as that we deserve this, honey, you ought to do some real soul searching, some inner reflection on that, because that is just mean, cruel, and unnecessary. Absolutely hateful. Hateful.
Did y'all hear about them sundown towns that just got swept away in the hurricane? Well,
yeah, we heard about them. And lots of people died in those, lost their homes, lost everything, and businesses, and they're struggling, and pets are missing, and people are missing. And you are disgusting. Very, very disgusting. I just don't understand why people are talking like this and going on like this. This is disgusting behavior, and you should be ashamed of yourself. It's disgusting. It's nasty behavior. People should not act like this. Grow up.
Yeah,
God did not pick these people to
watch them hang. That's disgusting.
Send a hurricane to hurt. I have friends down there. Luckily, they're okay, but you people are just absolutely disgusting that are talking this way.
I don't think they know how.
Have the day you deserve.
I'm so y'all. Every single motherfucker. I can't believe how many people are making videos like this. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. And when I say y'all, I mean black, white, or otherwise. Anybody who would have this kind of take during something so catastrophic happening. People have lost their lives, loved ones. Children have died. There's hundreds of people still missing and unaccounted for. And y'all want to use it for a gotcha moment and claim they're all motherfucking sundown towns and that they somehow like trying to insinuate that they brought it on themselves. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Never have I ever wanted to be able to have the ability to go through a telephone as much as I do today.
What would you do?
And then the electric response from Demetra K, reporting from Houston, was altogether poignant.
I'm not celebrating that happened to you, but how do you think black people feel? When y'all move in there with all of your money and, white privilege, and say, well, I want that property. I want that. And the developers say, bet. They built these nice, beautiful homes and stuff, and the black people that live around those areas, they can't afford to live there now because y'all done bumped up the property values and the taxes and the rent and everything else typically goes up. And so what happens is now those black people are displaced, meaning they got to move somewhere else because they can no longer afford to live where they've always lived because now you're feeling a certain type of way. And I like that. I want to look out of my house and look at the water. So again, I'm not gloating. But what you not ever gonna do, okay? And I'm gonna say this, and I've been saying this, and the Nation of Islam has been saying this, so this ain't original to me. You can't do what you're doing to black people and think God is gonna sit up and say, "Oh, that's great. I love that beachfront property for you. I love that for you." He ain't saying that, because what you do to people gotta come back. And this ain't even just for them. This is for everybody. What you do to people gotta come back to you. So be careful what you do to people. Don't think you're gonna do horrible things to people and you're gonna live a great life. Now, you might not get it today. You might not get it tomorrow. Hell, you might not get it 5 years from now. But guess what? You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it when you think you're snug as a bug in a rug in your waterfront property, and then you hear on the news that a hurricane is coming through. And the hurricane went through, it took life, it took land, it took property. But you did the same thing. You did the same thing to people. So why are you special? Listen, I feel bad that happened to you, but I feel worse that it happened to my people.
You've probably heard about Voxable's flagship product, the Casita.
Come on in. Because this is so tall, it gives you a tremendous... It was beyond terrible for African Americans back then, who had intertown businesses and day-to-day jobs to do to meet ends, or who liked to travel a lot in that era. There was neither safety nor security assured anywhere for poor, suffering Negroes, most of whom were already so overwhelmed with untellable oppression and segregation, which in 1850 that time was legitimate, such as the Jim Crow and Black codes. An entire Black household could just drive into a town or pass through it, and that would be the very end of them, never to be found. Harm could come on every one of them in the way, or they could even get lynched for being found in some towns during sundown by whites. This cruelty would happen for so long, perpetuating for several years, until a diligent Black man came up with a genius idea, the Negro Motorist Green Book. Now, what is the Negro Motorist Green Book? The Green Book was born out of great concern for the safety of Black travelers, searching for a better environment of people and greener pastures. Things had gotten so bad and beyond, horrible, hellish, for the Black community in those times. But Blacks did always ever turn up with some way or the other to manage off living for their own safety and that of their families. The Negro Motorist Green Book, also called the Negro Traveler's Green Book, which was invented by Victor Hugo Green, an African American who was a New York City postal worker, was in fact a redemptive measure to achieving the objective of keeping African American road trippers safe while traveling.
There's so much history within the pages of the Green Book. The Green Book was created and first published in 1936 by a man named Victor Hugo Green. He was a postal worker based in Harlem, and he had the idea for the book because of a Jewish friend of his had a guide for the Catskills, for Jewish families where they could go in the Catskills. And he looked at that and he said, hey, this would be a great idea. This is something that the Black community needs. He also was married to a woman named Alma, who lived in Virginia, and they would travel down to Virginia. And he, experienced all the things that African Americans experienced at that time in terms of traveling. And so he created the Green Book.
Hugo Green had written the Green Book as a guidebook to identify services and places relatively friendly to African Americans so they could find lodgings, businesses, and gas stations that would serve them along the road. Blacks were so endangered as a people in that era, surrounded by the cruelest of racial institutions and laws set up only for their torture, suffering, and eventually death, for merely driving through or into a town, no matter the hour, is gross and inhumane and evil. Without the Green Book, there was no way the safety of Black travelers could be guaranteed. Sundown towns were just all around at that time. There was no escaping it at all. Countless of Black families had fallen victim to this wickedness. In the South, these dangers were particularly severe, where Black motorists risked harassment, physical violence, or even murder for minor infractions, or for being in predominantly white areas. In some cases, African American travelers who got lost or sought lodging off the beaten path were killed, with little to no investigation by local authorities. Nonetheless, in response to these misfortunes came the Negro Motorist Green Book. Must have taken a lot out of Green to identify the job and do the job right. His information had to be authentic, credible, doubtless. African Americans needed to know that once they have the Negro Motorist Green Book in their hand, they have the lodestar to all their safe settlements in the whole of the United States, away from white oppression and cruelty. Green wrote his guide to services in places relatively friendly to African Americans. Eventually, he also founded a travel agency. The legacy of sundown towns in the United States continues to be felt till this present day. Many of these towns remain overwhelmingly white, with African American populations that are significantly lower than the state average. This is not merely a coincidence. It is a direct result of the intentional exclusion and racism that was perpetuated in these communities. Furthermore, the trauma and pain inflicted upon African American families who were forced to flee these towns has been passed down through generations. The emotional and psychological toll of this experience cannot be overstated. The story of sundown towns is a painful reminder of the racism and intolerance that has long plagued the balance of American society. But it is also a testament to the resilience and strength of African American communities, who have continued to thrive despite the obstacles placed in their path. In closing, every time the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, it's hard not to wonder about the countless lives forever altered by the brutal realities of these towns. The families forced to flee in the dead of night, leaving behind homes, livelihoods, and loved ones. The children who grew up with the constant fear of violence, their childhoods forever marred by the specter of racism. The mothers who wept for their sons, lost to the senseless brutality of a system designed to keep them in their place. As we move forward, it is essential that we acknowledge and confront the dark history of sundown towns. This requires a willingness to listen to the stories of those who were impacted, to confront our own biases and prejudices, and to work towards creating a more just and equitable society. This brings us to the end of yet another enlightening video. Don't forget to support our...
Cool, follow me.